السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. كيف حالكم؟ هل أنتم doing well today? Mixed, right? Arabic and English. So, सब कुछ ठीक तो है ना? Okay. Today, hi, this is Rahimi. Welcome to the Practical English program again today. I'm gonna be explaining direct and indirect speech today. First of all, I want to talk to you about the importance of direct and indirect speech. Why do we need to learn direct and indirect speech? Why is it important? Because it needs a lot of struggle, to learn how to change all kind of sentences from direct speech to indirect speech. So why do we learn direct and indirect speech? Number one, you need direct and indirect speech for interpretation or translation. Number two, for reporting. For example, you work for a company which sends you somewhere to a branch of it for evaluation or something, and then the company expects you to write a report. You need direct and indirect speech. Do you need direct and indirect speech for TOEFL IBT exam? Yes. On TOEFL IBT exam, the structure section doesn't exist. But they test your grammar indirectly on the writing and the speaking sections. On the writing section, you have two tasks. You got to write two essays, one independent essay and one integrated essay. When you write independent essay, it is based on your own experience, your own, opinions and ideas and reasons. But when you write the integrated essay, you need, direct and indirect speech. How? There are academic skills: paraphrasing, synthesizing, and summarizing. Paraphrasing means to present the same information in different words. But synthesizing means to get information from different sources and, combine that information into your own composition. For example, when you write the integrated essay for TOEFL IBT exam, first there will be a passage on the screen. You read the passage and then it disappears. Then you listen to a lecture given by a native speaker at university level. And while listening to the lecture, you got to be taking notes, right? So after you are done listening to the lecture, that passage will appear again, and now the question is that what, for example, does the passage say about something, and how the professor expresses his ideas or her ideas against the ideas which are stated in the passage. So again, when you write your integrated essay, you need to know direct and indirect speech. Why? Because you're going to be reporting the ideas in your composition from the two sources, the passage and the lecture. Understood? So it is important, as a part of academic English, it is important to learn direct and indirect speech. Now, what is a direct speech? In simple words, to bring someone's speech in his or her own words without any changes is called direct speech. What is indirect speech? To bring someone's speech in your own words with some changes is called indirect speech. You got it? So look at the first example, the first sentence. Learning direct speech is pretty easy because there are just a few rules to be learned. There are just, a few points to be kept in mind. But when we change direct speech to indirect speech, there are a lot of changes. Okay? Again, before I explain these two examples, I want to tell you that when you change direct speech to indirect speech, some changes should be brought. Tense change. You go one tense back. Simple present tense is changed to simple past. Present continuous to past continuous. Present perfect to past perfect. Present perfect continuous to past perfect continuous. Simple past to past perfect. Past continuous to past perfect continuous. Past perfect remains past perfect. Past perfect continuous remains past perfect continuous. In all future tenses, you change will to would. In ism are going to, if you use be going to, in future tenses, then yes, to was were going to. Ism are going to was were going to. And about 12 tenses. And there are extra points like imperative sentences and of course, it's just the introduction of direct and indirect speech, but in the future we'll be working on all of these 12 tenses in different forms. For example, for affirmative sentences, you have one way, but for interrogative sentences, you have a different way. For information questions, you have a different way. For negative sentences, you have a different way. Okay, now what about pronouns? When you use personal pronouns, so they are divided into three groups: first person, I, and we. First person is changed to third person. So I should be changed to he or she according to who the speaker of the speech or the sentence is. We should be changed to they. Second person, you, is changed to first person. Now, if the second person is singular, it is changed to I. If it's plural, it's changed to we again. And third person remains third person. So word changes, like time expressions and adverbs of time and adverbs of place, for example. Here is changed to there, this to that, these to those. Today, that day. Tonight, that night. This morning, this week, this month, this year, okay? That morning, that day, that week, and that year, okay? So these are the most common changes that we need to bring while changing direct speech to indirect speech. Now look at these two sentences. Direct speech, this sentence is according to direct speech. And the sentence here, indirect speech. When we use direct speech, your sentence is divided into two parts. How many parts? Two parts. This part before comma, and there's a comma between the two parts of your sentence. This part is called reporting speech. That part is called reported speech. Reporting speech because this part of your sentence is reporting the other part. And the other part is reported by the reporting, speech. So therefore, that is reported speech, and this is the reporting speech. Okay, a few rules, a few points to be kept in mind. Look, number one, you need a comma between the reporting and the reported speech. This is the first rule. Number two, the reported speech must be brought inside quotation marks. Inside quotation marks or inverted commas. Number three, the first word of your reported speech must be always capitalized. I mean, I as a pronoun is always, capital. But if it is, for example, if it is instead of I, you have he, so it should be capitalized. If you write he like this, that will be wrong. So that is point number three. The first letter of your reported speech should be capital, or the first word should be capitalized. Okay. And what about punctuation? Punctuation. See, you can see a period inside the quotation marks, and you can see a period outside the quotation mark. Two periods here. Why? The first period is not for my sentence. From the beginning, it's my sentence, right? but I have brought somebody else's sentence inside quotation marks. So the period that you see inside the quotation marks is for his sentence or her sentence, somebody else's sentence. In the period that you see outside the quotation marks, that is for my sentence. Understood? So the quotation mark inside and outside. I mean, grammarians have different ideas. According to my research, some of them use it just inside the quotation marks. Okay, some of them just use it. But this is the best idea to use. Your punctuation marks both inside and outside. Now it depends. For example, from the beginning here, your sentence is affirmative. It's a positive sentence because it starts with the subject, right? And the sentence inside the quotation marks is also affirmative. So that's why you need period, right? But, for example, if it is he asked, and then it's a question, right? He asked, and then inside the quotation marks, it's a question. He asked, am I going to buy a car tomorrow, for example? Then inside the quotation mark, you need question mark, and outside you need a period. Why? Because your sentence is not interrogative, it starts with the subject, right? So, and vice versa, the same thing, okay? Just look at the form of your sentence inside the quotation marks and punctuate this sentence according to the form of this sentence, okay? If it's affirmative or negative, use a period. If it's interrogative, use a question mark. And here, look at the beginning of your own sentence, okay? If it starts with an auxiliary, do, does, did, have, has, okay, is, am, are, was, were, right? So then you need a question mark at the end of your sentence. If it starts with a subject and it's not, question form, then you need a period. Got it? Okay, sometimes in written English, it's also possible to change the positions of these two parts, the reporting part and the reported part. And look, instead of, this dot, remove the dot and use a comma over here. I'm going to buy a car tomorrow, he said. And use the period at the end of your sentence. It's also possible. You can change the positions of the reporting and the reported speech in your sentences in written English, okay? Now, indirect speech. As I said before, in its definition, to bring somebody's speech in his or her own words with some changes is called indirect speech. Now, I'm going to write this again over here. I just wanted to give you an idea that it's possible you can change the positions of these two. So he said, and then a comma. Look, he told me, instead of a comma in your indirect speech, you use the conjunction that. The word that. So no comma is used in indirect speech. You need a comma in direct speech between the two parts, right? But here you do not need a comma. And look, the quotation marks are not used. Understood? So here you do not have any changes because you are reporting somebody's speech in his or her own words. So you do not bring any changes. And the reason you have put the sentence inside quotation marks because it's somebody else's, sentence, right? But here, now, you bring changes. Look, first person pronoun is changed to third person, he. I is changed to he. And am going to is changed to was going to. You see another change, okay? To buy a car and tomorrow, the following day. So how many changes you see here? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 changes. Now it is just one sentence. It's not divided into two parts. Understood? Okay? And it's not separated with a comma. It's still, you can say, okay, so this is the reporting part, that is the reported part, but there's a conjunction, so it's just like one sentence. And here you need, two periods, but at the end of your indirect speech, you need just one period. You got it? All together, now it's your sentence. So here you bring someone's speech in his or her own words, and you follow these rules, You bring somebody's speech inside quotation marks, you capitalize, the first word, and you use, punctuation marks both inside and outside the quotation marks, right? And use a comma between, reporting and reported speech. But here, no comma, no quotation marks, okay? But some other changes are necessary to be brought here. What are those changes? Pronoun, first person to third person, okay? Am. Okay, I mean I to he, and am to was, and tomorrow the following day. Okay, now one more thing. If, here you can say he told me that, you can say he said to me that, he said that, you can use different phrases, okay? But if this part is in simple present tense, then you don't have to change the tense. You can bring other changes, but you don't have to change the tense. If it's simple present tense, you use simple present tense. For example, he told me, instead of that, he tells me that. And it means like something is going on at the moment, like somebody's saying something and somebody else is asking you that, what does he say? And then you say he says or he's saying. So now your reporting part is in simple present tense, so you don't have to change the tense. You can bring other changes. Other changes should be brought, like pronoun change and word change and time expression and adverb of time. But you do not change the tense if this part is in simple present or present continuous tense. Next, if the speaker is talking about universal facts which are not changeable, okay? For example, I'm telling you Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very kind. And somebody is asking you, what did your teacher say to you in the classroom later on? And you change my direct speech to indirect speech. So you say, our teacher told us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very kind. So you don't change the tense. Understood? If the speaker is talking about universal facts, you do not change the tense. Understood? So now, again, we're not going to make this video very long because, as you know, I mean, on YouTube and Facebook, people are not interested in watching like long videos, so they need short videos. But I want to clarify that, like when we get some comments on Facebook, once in a while they sponsor my lessons on Facebook, the marketing section, right? So there's some comments. They say, oh, how can that be practical class? Because there's just explanation. But they don't know that this video is just a 15 or 20 minute video, but we still have 60 or 50 more minutes, to practice. But we cannot record, the entire duration of the class because it takes a lot of time. So nobody's gonna watch a video for 90 minutes, right? So that's the point. So now, of course, later on, we will be working on the different forms, like how to change negative sentence from direct speech to indirect speech, how to change interrogative sentence, how to change information question. But for now, maybe just for 5 minutes, I want you to give me your sentences in all 12 tenses, okay, for 5 minutes. And I'm going to change your sentences from direct speech to indirect speech. Somebody will come over here in order to ask me, what did he say? What did he say? What did he say? Okay. Who's coming here? Who's ready to come over here? Yeah, come on. So when they say something to me, okay, it means like it's the situation that I heard what he or she said, but you didn't hear. You were asking me, and I'm trying to report their speech to you, okay? So you go on and just think about all 12 tenses and think in English and say something. And raise your hand first. I'm going to choose, yeah, you.
We learn English. What did he say?
He told me that they learned English.
I watched that movie. What did he say?
He told me that he had watched that movie. You use simple past tense, right?
I will start MBA next year. What did he say?
He told me that he would start MBA the following year.
We are listening to you. What did he say?
He told me that they were listening to me. Mm-hmm.
There was a bad suicide attack in Kabul University.
Yeah, he told me that there had been a bad suicide attack at Kabul University. You used simple past tense and I changed it to past perfect tense. There had been.
I will be watching this video tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
What did he say?
He told me that he would be watching that video the following day at 2 o'clock the following day.
You explained the direct and indirect speech.
What did he?
Yeah, he told me that I had explained the direct and indirect speech. Simple past tense is changed to past perfect.
I will cook a cake for you.
What did he say?
He told me that he would cook a cake for me.
Can you help me?
What did he ask?
He requested if I could help him.
Would you mind bringing me a glass of water?
What did he say?
He requested if I minded bringing him a cup of water, a glass of water.
Do you teach English?
What did he ask?
He asked me if I taught English.
This classroom has a very beautiful chandelier. This classroom has a very beautiful chandelier.
What's that?
The chandelier.
Chandelier, right?
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
What did Jamal say?
Yeah, he told me that that classroom had a very beautiful
Chandelier.
chandelier, whatever. To be honest, I have no idea, what that is. Okay. Yeah, this is the truth. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you, especially in our country, in Afghanistan, a lot of those who learn English think that if somebody is an English teacher, he or she must be encyclopedia, which means they should have, all the English vocabulary in their mind, which is impossible. Even native speakers, even those who have learned English language from their mothers, do not have not even half of the vocabulary of English language in their mind. This is what I was told by my American teacher who'd been teaching English at DLI for more than 40 years. And of course, it was his native language. He was an American teacher, right? So he said that English contains approximately more than 1 million words. And, if you go and ask a young teenager, like an ordinary American, like a teenager, they may not have more than 5,000 to 6,000 words in their memory. Okay, and he said that someone like me, he was talking about himself, who's been teaching English for more than 40 years, and it's my field, and may not have more than 50 to 60,000 words in their memory. So what about the rest of the words? English contains approximately more than 1 million words, according to my information, my research. So now that's that's not a part of the reality. If you think that if somebody is an English teacher, he or she should know each and everything and all of the words, okay, that's not possible, okay? So that's why we have English to English dictionaries, and they're made for native speakers. You got the point? So like right now, we experienced, one of my students used a word that I didn't know what it was, right? So it's a part of the reality. Okay. A few more, examples.
Can I open the window?
What did he?
He asked me if he could open the window.
I had passed the test.
Yeah, he told me that he had passed the test.
I had cooked before he came.
What did he ask?
What did he say to you? Okay. He told me that he had cooked before he went there.
Will you buy a phone for me?
What did he ask?
Yeah, he asked me if I would buy a phone for him. See, instead of if, you can use whether, the word whether, okay? That's also possible. It also means if, but it's not very common. If is more common nowadays in English. That's a kind of, word which used to be used in Old English a lot. And it's not very, and it's somehow more formal too. To say whether, yep.
Let me open the window because of ventilation.
Would you repeat it?
Let me open the window because of ventilation.
Yeah. He asked me to let him open the window for ventilation.
Will you teach us in step 4?
You asked me if I would teach you in step 4.
I will have eaten the dinner.
What did he say?
I will have eaten the dinner, bring another class. I will have eaten the dinner before you come there. Yeah, he told me that he would have eaten the dinner before I went there.
If I have a lot of money, I would build a mosque.
He told me that if he'd had a lot of money, or if he had a lot of money, but short form is usually used in spoken English. Instead of he had, you say if he'd had. If he'd had a lot of money, he would have built a masjid.
Rahim is going to teach us grammar in step 4.
What did he say?
Yeah, he told me that Rahimi was going to teach them grammar in step 4 class.
When the class will finish.
Yeah, he wanted to know when the class would finish. He wanted to know when the class would finish. If for information questions, it's better to use he wanted to know, she wanted to know.
I cannot change my bad habit.
What did he say?
Yeah, he told me that he could not change his bad habits, which is too bad. Yep. Mm-hmm.
5 minutes, for example, finish. 5 minutes, for example, finish.
Okay, 5 minutes for examples to finish. Okay, he told me that. He told me that. Yeah, 5 minutes were remaining for examples to finish. Okay. Yeah, enough. Please have a seat. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this practical environment. But keep in mind that it's going on. We don't want to record, the entire class, because it will become boring, for those who are watching our videos on YouTube or Facebook. So have a great time, and see you later. Bye-bye.